But what we not gonna do is have this auto-tune man coming up here selling fucking sweaters and telling y'all he sold 500,000 fucking albums, because he didn't.
Hip-hop is no stranger to rappers throwing tantrums about sales. Whether it's 50 Cent pledging to quit the rap game if he got beat in sales by Kanye West, he lost but unfortunately is still rapping, or Boosie Badass copying a strop after his album only sold 300 copies, or even Trap Lord Ross, who recently threw an Instagram tantrum about poor streaming numbers of his album Viper the Piper.
What's good, people? It's your boy Trap Lord Ross, man. Just checking in with the fans. Just wanted to see how everyone's enjoying my new album Viper the Piper that recently dropped on all streaming platforms. Let's check out the numbers and see how much the fans been showing me support. Alright, cool. So we got me up there. Let's see, man. Couple mil. Oh, okay. Yo, man, how's less than 1,000 people stream my album? I thought you guys were riding for me. I got 180,000 subs. No one's streaming my album, man. This is embarrassing. Everyone's out there streaming Fiddy's album, Kanye's album. You can't even give a brother 1,000 streams. Oh, Kelly got more streams than me, man.
Well, in order to avoid the impending disappointment of flagging record sales, many rappers and musicians have turned to the album bundling sales finesse in order to fluff up their numbers. If you watch my recent video on all the companies that Jay-Z finessed in order to become a billionaire, you'll know that Jay-Z's had mixed success over the years trying to flog his albums bundled in with products from Samsung and Sprint. And we all remember DJ Khaled's recent tantrum about being finessed out of the #1 spot by Tyler the Creator after failing at his own merch bundling finesse. But it was actually legendary rock star and lover of pancakes and all things purple, Prince, that invented the album bundling finesse. In 2004, Prince released his album Musicology, also known as the least employable degree in the world, and he spent the entire year giving away copies of that album bundled in with his tour tickets, keeping it on the charts for 28 weeks running. By January of 2005, that album had already gone double platinum, and Billboard were just starting to get pissed off with this finesse. They decided to purple rain on his parade and announced that in future, the price of the CD either needed to be added to the ticket, or the buyer be offered a discount on that ticket equal to the value of the CD if they want to forego it. But some people may remember that a year before DJ Khaled was throwing his tantrum, Nicki Minaj was throwing a tantrum for the exact same reasons. Her target? Travis Scott. In August 2018, Travis Scott drops his album Astroworld. This comes in at #1 on the Billboard chart, shifting around 537,000 units. This was actually the second largest first week debut of the entire year, just behind Drake's Scorpion. Well, maybe if Travis had used the album to announce that he'd knocked up a French porn star. I mean, close, but not quite. But regardless of questionable pregnancies, the album was a certified hit. But things heated up a week later when the announcement came out that Travis Scott had held down the #1 slot a second week in a row, beating out Nicki Minaj's new album Queen that had just released, selling around 200,000 copies. Now let's not forget the fact that a #2 album is still a huge achievement for Nicki Minaj. I mean, at this point she's now scored 4 top 2 albums, a record for any female hip-hop artist. She was also runner-up to the biggest debut by a female artist in 2018, just being beaten out by her arch-nemesis Cardi B, who sold around 255,000 units. That one's gotta hurt. I mean, basically, Nicki Minaj is like the rap equivalent of holding the most silver medals in Olympic history, which is still technically an achievement. I mean, you are the best loser. I mean, you were so close to winning and you beat out all the other losers. In fact, you're so good at losing, you have the best medal for somebody who didn't win. You're king of the losers. But it turns out Nicki Minaj was a loser of the sore variety. She decides to tweet out that her first album sold 400,000 units in the first week, irrelevant, and that nobody is doing that with their debut albums now. Nice work, Nicki, moving the goalpost when Travis Scott had smashed those numbers just a week before. She then followed up that absolute clanger with another tweet calling out Travis for selling 50,000 of his units through albums that were bundled with tour merchandise without any tour actually being scheduled. She then continued to go full-on Kanye off his meds on Twitter by calling out Spotify for messing with her album advertising, suggesting that they were annoyed because she premiered her album early on Apple. Let's not forget that she does have a deal with Apple and that her Queen radio show is hosted on Apple Music. She goes on to suggest that Spotify were looking to punish her and that Drake's face was on every single playlist. Oh, you know, Drake, who gets $20 million checks from Apple and also has his own show on Apple Music. But Nicki is all too happy to point this out, seemingly negating her own point that Spotify would punish her for being with Apple, meanwhile suggesting that Spotify are dumb for rewarding another Apple lackey. Yeah, Nicki, you know how to improve that relationship with Spotify going forward to your next release? Call them out on Twitter for being idiots and liars. If it's good enough for an ex-boyfriend, it's good enough for Spotify, eh? She then leaned in on her DJ Khaled shit and called out Billboard, dissing their charting stipulations and saying that Travis unfairly finessed his way to the top of the charts with his bundles, and that if you compare his figures to the opening debuts of albums from the Carters, Nas, and Kanye West, you can plainly see that. Okay, well let's take a look at those figures. Kanye West's Ye sold 208,000 copies in the first week. Jay-Z and Beyonce's The Carters' Everything Is Love album only sold 123,000 copies first week, and Nas's Kanye West-produced album Nasir only sold a measly 77,000 copies in the first week. So think about that for a second. Travis Scott had a bigger opening week than Kanye West, Nas, Jay-Z, and Beyonce combined. He's popping. So even if you completely discount Nicki Minaj's unsubstantiated claim that Travis Scott had sold 200,000 bundled copies of his albums in the first week, Travis still mopped the floor, outselling everybody with discounted sales of 337,000 copies in the first week. Then Nicki really jumped the shark by deciding to diss Kylie Jenner and her 6-month-old baby Stormi for offering tour packages bundled with the album where you could have a meet and greet with Travis, Kylie, and Stormi. Yeah, dissing a 6-month-old baby, that's real class, Nicki.
He and his label decided to have Kylie and baby Stormi put up a tour pass. He had her go and post and say, "Hey, me and Stormi can't wait to see y'all."
So if you set aside Nicki Minaj's rabid fanbase of teenage Playboy pencil case having girls for a minute, it's no surprise that she looked like an idiot for saying these things. Firstly, Nicki Minaj got Donkey of the Day from The Breakfast Club for her misguided bitching, and street side punching bag Charlemagne had some sage advice for her.
And for all the barbs out there who are in my mentions right now, ready to slander me all day for giving Nicki Donkey of the Day, how about take that energy to Apple? Take it to Tidal, take it to Spotify, take it to record stores. Instead of putting energy into slandering people who you think hate Nicki Minaj, go support her music. Put your number twos in the air if you did it on them.
Now.
Throw your twos up! But music journalist for the failing New York Times, Joe Coscarelli, came out a day later to expose Nicki for some of the contradictions in her arguments. He pointed out all the things that Nicki Minaj blamed for her not hitting #1, then deconstructed her hypocrisy point by point with all the precision of a Cardi B laser hair removal treatment. Nicki was annoyed that Travis Scott was bundling merchandise and clothes with his album. Well, it turns out she was also bundling her album with clothes that nobody even wanted. God, how much unsold 6ix9ine merch do you think's still sitting around in Nicki's warehouse? Probably about as much unsold merch as I have sitting around in my house. Please, for the love of God, buy some merch, people. Please. Please. All my videos are getting demonetized, please. She also claimed that Spotify had been punishing her in favor of Drake. Well, it turns out that Spotify had actually funded a Times Square billboard of Nicki Minaj to promote her project. And Spotify even came out to rebuff her claims, confirming that she had indeed been given this billboard, as well as exclusive playlist slots, and confirming that her streaming numbers had indeed improved off the back of their campaign. But despite being set straight by Spotify, Nicki Minaj was also exposed for trying to do a last-minute finesse to get her and 6ix9ine's song Fifi that was originally on his album put as a bonus track onto her Queen album to allow her to latch on to those extra 43 million streams that had existed on that song. And bear in mind, the biggest track of hers after this was the song Barbie Dreams, which only had been streamed 16.5 million times. But in the face of these straight facts, Nicki Minaj doubled down on her stupidity and continued to air Travis Scott out on her Queen radio show, dissing his auto-tune and reiterating all of those invalid points she'd already made on Twitter.
But what we not gonna do is have this auto-tune man coming up here selling sweaters and telling y'all he sold 500,000 albums, because he didn't.
And at one point she seemed to get so angry that she had a seizure and fell face down onto the sound effect keyboard.
I'm not scared. I'm legendary in these streets. I'm legendary in these streets. I'm legend. Oh!
After recovering from this case of spontaneous funk flex syndrome, Nicki Minaj wasn't done beefing, and on August 21st, she attended the VMAs wearing what I could only describe as a Kanye West Yeezy Season non-functional life jacket. Nicki was at the VMAs to collect the Best Hip Hop Award, unusual for her to not be runner-up for once, but the event's plans were made even more spicy by reports that Travis Scott had actually been moved away from Nicki Minaj in the seating arrangements for the night. Travis then took to the stage to perform and ended his set by reminding everybody that he had the #1 album, just rubbing a little bit of extra salt in those Barbies' wounds.
Astroworld #1 right now.
It even looked for a second that Kylie was about to catch the fade from Nicki before she quickly went and hid behind some security. Look, I know this whole video is roasting Nicki for being a sore loser, but I would have given anything to see Nicki slap the makeup off Kylie that moment. I mean, Nicki Minaj and Tory Lanez will make a great couple. They've got their ops on ropes. But things would go from bad to worse for Nicki, and following the VMAs, it was announced that she would actually be cancelling several tour dates on her North American tour and refunding fans tickets. This was apparently due to poor sales and her not not filling out the venues that she was booked to play. For example, apparently her hometown gig at the New York Barclays Center with a 19,000 seat capacity had only sold 5,050 tickets, a location that Travis Scott would be selling out completely for his Astroworld tour in March. Her excuse was of course that she'd been so busy recording her #2 album that she wouldn't have time to rehearse her show to the silver standard that her fans expect.
And this is all happening because I pushed my album back 2 months. And I just finished writing and recording literally hours before the album came out. So now I just simply don't have the time to rehearse and be on the road in time to give you guys the level of a show I need to give.
Damn, if she'd have only bundled those tickets with her fire #2 album, right, Barbs? No? Okay. Nicki Minaj continued bundling her public appearances with a large dose of rock salt, turning up on The Ellen Show a month later and telling her that she wanted to punch Travis Scott in the face because she'd lost out on the top spot.
I felt like I wanted to punch him in his face. Okay.
Nicki Minaj there, taking the high ground. I think there's that classic Michelle Obama quote, what is it? When they go low, we go on Ellen and threaten to punch them in the face. She went on to say that she was grateful following the success of her album, you know, that #2 success. And she said she doesn't like being bullied or ganged up on.
And I'm like the most grateful person in the world. I love being grateful and remembering that things could be worse, okay? I started from nothing. I'm one of those people who, I get it. But I don't like being bullied and I don't like being taken advantage of.
You know, that thing that she gets her impressionable teenage fans to do when somebody does something she doesn't like. But again, she shamelessly went on with no self-awareness at all and said that it's not fair for somebody to try and finesse the album sales game with merchandise bundles.
Yes,
Okay.
he sold a lot of t-shirts and sweaters.
Okay.
And tour passes. And so we're not gonna have that.
But one of the weirdest and most underreported aspects of this beef is her beef with Travis Scott's manager, Irving Azoff. The salty songstress awarded him Cocksucker of the Day, saying that he was actually responsible for putting out a smear campaign about her tour, pulling strings that he supposedly had from a former position at Ticketmaster. Though naturally, she failed to provide any proof. But this seemingly innocuous diss would age very badly when 10 months later, she was rumoured to be in talks with actually signing with him under management. Supposedly, Azoff was grilled by Nicki on whether or not Travis hated her after that beef, but it's never actually been confirmed publicly whether Azoff became her manager. But regardless of who took that management position, I hope that they can manage to help Nicki keep her mouth shut when it comes to being a sore loser. Nicki, you're so out of touch, it's unreal. Not only are you wrong, but you're also grossly overestimating how much of a shit people give about your album being #1. People that wanted your stupid album went and bought it, and people that wanted Travis' stupid album went and bought that. And people that wanted Travis's stupid sweatshirt and stupid ticket to his stupid concert or stupid meet and greet with his stupid daughter and stupid girlfriend bought that too. No one gives a shit about you being #2, and comparing yourself to a civil rights activist isn't doing you any favors. It's pathetic, and frankly, your army of preteen girls who seem to back you up in every single beef that you get into don't have any say in what makes a good product or a good piece of art in the marketplace. I suggest you grow up and take the same advice that I gave to Space Ghost Perp and 6ix9ine. Focus on making good art and not beefing, and people will care. Because in 5 years' time, no one's going to be listening to the videos of you making a spectacle of yourself and being a sore loser. But they will be listening to Travis's album, because it's a good piece of art. But then again, the facts are, if the album bundling finesse works, why not take advantage of it? Don't be a sore loser, because you tried and you got finessed yourself. Sometimes the finesser becomes the finessee. So on that note, I'm very excited to announce my own album sales bundle, Finesse, to stimulate sales and streams of my recent flop album, Viper the Piper. Act now and you'll get a free copy of the album with any qualifying item from my merch store. Eligible items include this official Trap Lore Ross piece of dust. It's there, I swear. Or how about Jay-Z's air piano from his Samsung campaign? Nice. Or for the real fans out there, you can get this, which is the eternal void caused by pouring your heart and soul into a project that you're really proud of, but ultimately no one cares about because they just want you to keep making stories about rappers killing each other that get loads of views and always get demonetized, and there's no point other than clout, and it just makes you wonder if there's a point to any of this, or whether you'll just fade into irrelevancy and just be another YouTube flash in the pan like FuseyTube.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. A quick announcement. I'm going to be closing down my merch store at the end of this month. So after August 2019, you won't be able to get any of the original Trap Lore designs from my merch store. I'm going to be shutting it down. I'm going to be launching a brand new merch store with completely new designs, an entire collection, Trap Lore Season 2. So you won't be able to get any of the old designs. I'm not just saying that, for real. That stuff's going to be gone forever. So if you want to jump in, if you want to get any of the Season 1 classic merch that you've seen so far, go and cop that in the next week or so. Otherwise, it won't be available again after next week. It's not clickbait, for real. I just want to take things forward. I want to launch a whole new collection. I want to evolve my merch design setup, and I'm just really excited for that. So I think you're really going to enjoy the designs that I've got coming, and any of the OGs that want to get in there and grab some of the stuff that I've got going on now, feel free to do that. I'd appreciate it, but also feel free to just, you know, hang in there and see what I've got popping off in the next lot. But it's all new stuff. It's all completely different, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.